Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Raising the Bar, and I'm really delighted to have this lady with us today. Her name's Laura Whitworth. How you doing, Laura?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm really, really good. And we were saying before, I was really excited to have you on because I noticed, your interview with Jerry Marzinski. And I'm just to introduce you here. You're a professional psychotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, and quantum healer, and you're the founder of Soul Center Healing Hypnosis. And your website is schhofficial.com. And yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to talk about, haven't we, Laura?
Absolutely. I mean, where do we start?
Where do we
Wh-
start with it?
Where do
Where
you
do
want to
we
start?
start? Yeah, where do we start with it? Well, I'll tell you where we will start. Okay, so let's talk about that interview with Jerry because I've had Jerry on my show, and his conclusions are all these schizophrenic patients that he talks to, with the voices talking to them in their own head, a little bit like the movie Nefarious, if anyone's seen that movie. He says it's not the mainstream view of chemical imbalance, it's actually entity attachments. So now we're going to sort of the transdimensional understanding of things, which is for most people, I would have thought way outside their bubble of awareness, right? But could you maybe start with how this started for you? Because I remember you saying that you started doing hypnotherapy and you start to trace these thoughts that these people were having and these voices people were having, and that's what led you to similar conclusions to Jerry. That's a good starting point.
Sure. So, through my work, through hypnotizing thousands of people, and I would see them for various different reasons. I'm not going to name all of those because everybody knows what you go to see hypnotherapists for. But I also was working in the quantum realm as well, so doing past life regression and connecting people to the higher self and that kind of thing. I would notice in many sessions that the client would change when you would get them under hypnotherapy. And the person that you've been speaking to in the psychotherapy part of the session at the beginning was a totally different person to the person that you would end up speaking to whilst under hypnotherapy. And obviously, I'm trained in all of the dissociative identity disorders and dissociation and all of that kind of thing, split psyche, multiple personality disorder. So it wasn't that I was dealing with. It was something else. And these voices that would come out of people, they would sometimes just swear and cuss. They would grunt, they would spit. Um, and it was one particular session that I had that I realized that I was dealing with something quite different, um, where my work took a real turn. And this is where I started to focus really solely on this stuff. And that was when I did a particular session with a man who had very strange energy when he came to see me. Let's just leave it at that. But when I got him into the session, he actually, the voice that came out of him was entirely different, very, very deep, very, very evil sounding. And he actually levitated off of my bed. And this was in real life. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I need to actually face this head on now
I was
and
going to
and
say
do.
the head didn't do a 360 or anything like that, did it? That would have been. I think I would have to kill myself
Yeah,
if that happened.
it was probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in real life in a face-to-face session. And I've had some pretty, crazy things happen over the years. Um, so basically what I started to do at that point was I thought, right, this happens with so many clients, not all. So I'm going to start mapping who these clients are, what their traumas are in their life, what their physical symptoms are, emotions, behaviors, and I'm going to map out what the voices say when the voices start to talk and what we find out in the session. So over the course of my work, this is basically what I learned. So I'm going to try and shrink it down because there's a lot here for the purposes of this. The world that we live in is not what we have been told. So we think that we are the top of the food chain, and we aren't. That's basically the big mic drop. As there are so many different dimensions that we are aware of on this planet. We have the first dimension with water, air, fire, earth, and then we go into the second dimension where we have all of the fish and the animal lifetimes. And then we come up into the third dimension where we will have the human lifetimes, the lifetimes that we are living now. There is a dimension that's above us that feeds into us. All of the dimensions are stacked on top of each other. So our dimension feeds up into that dimension, just as we feed on the animal kingdom, as the animal kingdom feeds on the grass and the water and so on and so forth. Now, this is quite a big topic. So for anyone that's interested in studying this in more detail, I would recommend reading the Ra material, The Law of One, book 1 specifically, which explains this in more detail. But basically, when we split off from source as pieces of source that are making our way back to source on a journey through the dimensions, we have the choice as a soul when we become individualized. So when we realize that we are an individualized piece of source, and that happens normally at the end of the animal kingdom and when you come into the earth lifetimes, the human lifetimes, we have the choice to decide whether we want to follow the path of service to others, which is the positively polarized path, which is the light, or service to self, which is the negatively polarized path, which is the path of the dark. Now, in the human world, in the third dimensional plane of existence, if you like, you have both. So you have some humans that are following the path of the light, service to others, and you have some humans that are following the path of the dark, service to self. And we're all kind of lumped together. And the reason for that is it causes a catalyst for soul growth. It allows the narcissists, the ones that are following the dark path, to become even more evil because they've got some really nice people to boss around. And it allows those of us that want to follow the path of the light. It gives us an evil person to all rally against, if you like, and we all group together as light, and off we go up the dimensions. This cycle has happened many, many times on Earth. If you look back to the ancient paintings and the ancient histories, the ancient texts, you will see that there are animals such as unicorns and fairies and mermaids and dragons and all of those creatures that we now say are myth and legend. They're not myth and legend. The reason that we used to talk about them is because we as human beings used to vibrate higher. So our energy centers, which if you take white light and you fractalize it through a prism, refracts out into the color of the rainbow, we have an energetic body that is the fuel for our physical body. And back in the day, we used to vibrate higher. When we vibrated higher, we plugged up into the positively polarized upper fourth dimension, which emits light. And this is where the fairies and the unicorns and all of those incredible creatures are. What's happened is, due to, and many people will dispute over when this happened, but let's say, for argument's sake, it was at the time of Atlantis, when people were messing around with things that they shouldn't have been messing around with. And we ended up attracting in dark beings to this world who got in. They started to whisper into the minds of man, and the consciousness of man and woman fell. So at that point, the light that is contained within our energetic bodies, which is given to us from the earth, but it is affected by the interface it has between the energetic body and the mental body. Mental body is thoughts, is consciousness. It was affected, and the resonance of the light in our energy centers lowered. So if you imagine, if you will, 7 pots of the most beautiful, vivid paint, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And every time you feel sadness, pain around sadness, drop a spot of black paint into that orange pot, stir it around. Every time somebody humiliates you or makes you feel guilty or makes you feel shame, those emotions, drop a spot of black paint into the yellow, stir it around. Every time you feel terror, scared, fear, lack, drop a spot of black paint into the red one, stir it around. It's not long before the energy centers of the human lowers. And we are a byproduct. Our physical body is the direct representation of the energy that we hold in our energetic body. What that then means is, when our energy centers are vibrating lower, we plug up into the negatively
Right.
polarized upper fourth. Now, that dimension is parasitical. It doesn't emit light like the positively polarized
Mm.
upper fourth. It consumes light.
Mm.
These guys need a battery.
Mm.
They consume light. What I've found in my work is that darkness is only dark because it consumes light. Think of all of the black holes in the universe.
Mm.
The light gets consumed, gets sucked into the black holes. So it is light that fuels the darkness. So what I found through all of the work and the study that I did is that the traumas that we face as humans cause our energetic body to vibrate lower, which then makes us a magnetic match in resonance to these beings that exist in a higher dimension than us, but that are negatively polarized. So then they attach to our chakras, to our light, and they feed off of it. So we are fueling the beings that exist in that negatively polarized high dimension.
Yeah.
But once they're attached, they affect us in consciousness. So they don't only take our light, they affect our thoughts, feelings, and emotional behaviors. So what you get, somebody that's been heavily parasited upon, and think about how many times we're traumatized as human beings in our life. Just think about that. All of us have got something that's happened at some point that has caused the light in our energy centers to lower.
Mm.
And so what you will find is most human beings have got something attached somewhere. And that entity that's attached will not only consume that one particular ray of light, which destabilizes that person's entire spectrum.
Mm.
So they're no longer a rainbow. They've got one ray of light missing, but it also affects their emotions, their feelings, their behaviors, the thoughts that they have in their head. And for Jerry's work, you mentioned Jerry Mazinski earlier on. For Jerry's work, what he was dealing with there, the people that can hear the voices, is their third eye has been opened to such an extent, and this can be through meditation, but normally it would be through drugs, psychedelics, or cannabis, so that when the third eye is open, they can hear the
Mm.
entities that are attached to them energetically. And the reason these beings say such low frequency things and horrible things like kill yourself, do this, do that, is because they're trying to produce an emotion in the human, like fear,
Mm.
if they're attached to the root, sadness, if they're attached to the sacral, guilt or shame or humiliation, if they're attached to the solar plexus. Because when the human feels that emotion, it releases that low frequency light that the entity feeds off of.
Yeah.
So this is a huge
Yeah.
deal. It's
That's like
massive.
Monsters Inc. It's like exactly like Monsters Inc. You know, the Disney.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
No, because the
That's
monsters
exactly
go
it.
go through like that a membrane. They go through the door and they go into the kids' world, the human world. They make the kids scream and then they collect the scream in a little bottle and well, they collect the scream, it gets into a bottle and they that's their fuel for the monsters world, isn't it? It's that. They're basically telling you in Disney.
They are telling you everything in Disney, but
Yeah.
they put it in such a way whereby everyone sits there in the cinema eating the
Yeah.
popcorn, going, "Oh, this is a really good film, isn't it? Who was your favorite character?" Not
Yeah.
realizing that by us doing that, we're actually giving consent to the screwed up way that our world is managed. So
Mm.
then, when you understand that piece, you understand everything. Because why is our world so messed up? Why are all of these things happening? Why don't we have world peace?
Yeah.
Why is there constantly war after war after war? Why is everybody hooked on medication? It's to keep humans so that they never deal with their trauma. It's to keep them perpetually traumatized.
Mm.
It's to keep them perpetually in fear, lack, sadness. And there's different types of entities as well. This is when it gets really complex and really
All right,
interesting.
I've got a question on that. Okay, so if they're lower beings, they're lower vibrational beings, how come they're in a higher dimension than us?
Because it's negatively polarized.
Yeah, but how did they even get up there in the first place, even in a polarized
Yeah.
form?
So they get up there in the first place by being 95% evil. So the world is cyclical. Human civilizations rise and fall, and not just humans, different beings before us on this earth have risen and fallen.
Mhm.
And people say, oh, the dinosaurs were exterminated, they were killed off. Well, in that cycle, there will have been a bipedal humanoid that ascended in that cycle. There's many, many, many beings in the upper dimensions, and there are positively polarized ones and negatively polarized ones. So Earth, if you think of Earth in terms of real estate in the galactic universe, Earth is held currently, it's held by the negatively polarized upper fourth density. And unfortunately, we come under that density. So the only way we can get out of the control of these beings is to deal with our trauma, is to clean and clear our energy, our chakras, is to look at our diet, is to change the way that we think. We've got to reprogram our minds, our brains to be our biggest fan in this life, as opposed to being our biggest inner critic. There's many, many things that need to be done, but basically we have to vibrate higher, vibrate back in the colors of the rainbow as we used to. So then we will literally sidestep them in frequency. We literally just move slightly out of their resonance and they can't feed off of us anymore. It's like retuning
Yeah, I was going to say a radio station, like if you get interference, that's when you know you're kind of like interfering with these entities. But if you move it slightly, you get the pure radio station that you were after. Yeah, that kind of thing, isn't it?
That's
Can I
it.
just ask, just, I mean, I'm making notes as I go along. There's so many questions that I have, but I mean, for instance, chakras, you mentioned chakras there. So because you can't, if you were to tell like your average normer, your average mainstreamer, like what a chakra is, you can't see it, can you? I mean, how would you definitely say to someone that we have chakras? Because I actually did a session with someone and he said he removed my chakras for me. He said it's a fake overlay. He says you don't want it. You don't want to be fragmented. He says you want to just be, so he removed them.
So I'll give you some more information on that. So many years ago,
Mm,
before the energy centers
yeah.
pulled themselves into the rainbow colors, we used to have white light energy centers all the way
Mm,
through. So the white light would plug down into the planet, the white light would plug up through the crown to source, and we would be a conduit of the light all the way
mm,
through.
yeah.
The first fall in consciousness happened when the energy centers stopped working together as a team.
Mm,
So the energy centers, think of them as galaxies in your own body.
mm,
The universe is micro to the macro, and the same patterns are there to be seen in every area of the universe that you look at. So inside of you, you have your own universe, and your energy centers are galaxies of light. And those galaxies of light provide light to the meridians and the wider body. And the whole body needs that light.
mm,
If you don't have the light in the body, so say, for example, if the light is siphoned away by an entity who takes the light instead, that's when you will start to find physical disease manifesting in the body. And this is something else that I didn't mention when I was giving an overview earlier on. But most people will find me and come to me when they're dying. It will get to that point and they'll
mm,
say to me, I want to live. I've got a family. I've been looking at alternative therapy. I've found you. Can you help me? And I will listen to all of their traumas. I will work out which of their chakras are parasited upon. I will remove those entities. I will plug the light back into their body. I will help them to move out all of the dense energy and trauma that they've carried. And then they will heal completely and fully and totally. The body has the complete capacity to regenerate from any
mm,
illness. All illness and diseases is telling you that something is out of balance energetically in the body.
mm,
And yes, there are physical factors as well. Your diet has a big impact on the vitality and well-being of the body as well. But in regards to, okay,
mm,
when you look at the planet, you can't see the planet's chakras, but you can see that she's alive. You
mm,
can see that the food that she grows is what we need to eat. to survive. Without our Mother Earth, we don't have a life. We're dead because we need her energy. And it's the energy that's the interface between her and us. As humans, we always think of ourselves as separate. We always think, oh, I'm a human and I've got this
Yeah.
career and I've got this house and I have this car.
Yeah.
But actually, we are a part of Mother Earth. And if you want proof of that, okay, I'll give you some proof. The oxygen that you breathe comes from the trees. The carbon dioxide that you breathe out, the trees need for their photosynthesis
Mm.
processes. The bronchial tubes in the lungs are the shape of a tree. The patterns on the palms of your hands are the same patterns that you'll find on the leaves of the trees. Your fingertips, the patterns on your fingertips
Yeah.
are the patterns that you will find in the cross section of a tree.
Yeah.
You're Earth.
We're one and the same. But I've also, have you noticed that we're born from the earth, but then we go back into the earth, which means that the vegetation actually eats us.
Yes. And that is
That's the
that's the
cycle.
cycle.
Yeah.
That's the absolute cycle.
Mm.
And that's why it's very, very important that there is a cycle, that there is a movement of energy up the dimensions and then back into the earth, and that it does continue to flow and it does continue to cycle, because that is life.
Because you know the arguments are, oh, we're damaging the earth, we're treating it badly, but then the earth eats us as food, doesn't it?
Well,
Technically.
it takes us back in because we are a
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we are one and the same with earth. So to say that we're,
Correct.
negatively affecting the earth, we are a product of the earth, so it's
So
a yeah,
some may say that humans are a part, if you think of Earth as a cell,
yeah,
like a cell in the human body, some may say that humans are a part of the cell of Earth that has begun to go cancerous
oh gosh.
because we have begun to disconnect from her and to forget that we are a part of her.
Don't tell Bill
And
Gates that, whatever you do.
I'm not interested in him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, don't go
Although,
telling Klaus Schwab and Bill about that, otherwise
yeah,
that'll
I won't be speaking to them anytime soon, that's for sure.
don't give them any ideas though. But no, I've heard that as well. I've heard that technically we act as parasites, but I'd rather not see us like that. I'd rather see us as light, as you said, divine light.
That's what we're supposed to be. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be just like a tree, only our root is
Mm,
not connected. It's not static in one place. So we have a cord that connects us to Earth, but we can move around.
mm,
So we're supposed to be moving around her surface, keeping her healthy and well. And
yeah.
instead, we've been doing the exact opposite.
Mm,
I was looking at some guy on our road the other day laying a new surface of tarmac, all that black stuff over the floor. And I was just thinking to myself, yeah, if you look at it from a higher perspective, humans are most definitely a part of the cell of Earth that's gone bad.
that's gone bad.
And
Mm.
we need to get ourselves back in alignment with her. If we do not, we're going to get left behind. So it's really, really important that we start to resonate back in those higher colors. Then once you've got the colors of the rainbow back in your energy centers, and your energy centers are working together,
Yeah.
I do believe at some point in the future there will be a wave of light that occurs that will separate out the two bands, the two frequencies of energy.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we're all in a third dimensional pot. We're all deciding which way we want to go. There's some people that want to go positively polarized, some want to go negatively polarized. If you don't choose, you'll end up getting lumped in with the negatively
Mm.
polarized. It's coming towards the time where the graduation happens again. So where we, because we've spent 26,000 years in this density, can now move up to the next layer of experience. So we will,
Mm.
but you will either go up to that positively polarized upper
Oh yeah. Yeah.
vibration, or the negatively polarized one. So pay attention to
Mm.
what it is that you're plugging into in this world at this time, because it's really, really important.
I wonder if that's something that happens in the next lifetime, or if that's something that actually happens now. Because I don't know if you noticed in the last 4 years, I'm seeing this breakaway where there's like two alternate realities that are forming in exactly the same physical space. There's the ones
Yeah.
that are kind of moving along the path of, yeah, go along with this one world government, this sort of totalitarian dystopia where we go onto it, we get jacked into the cloud social credit system, let Big Brother, Big Daddy sort of tell us everything. But then there's also like a breakaway of people that want to go back to basics, maybe go back to the land, more sovereign based thinking, and they can see what was going on and all the clown vid stuff, whereas the other ones were all like queuing up round the block for it, for the whats into the arm. And you can
Yep.
literally be in the same physical space as your friends and family, but actually be seeing two completely different realities. Is this almost like the start of that happening in reality now and living life? Yeah.
Absolutely. So if we go back to that analogy of the Earth being a cell,
Yeah.
the Earth is going through a process of mitosis.
Yes.
So it's growing a new cell and
Right.
it's
Right.
discarding the old cell.
Lord, that's so
So
deep. That's unbelievable.
it's
Yeah.
deep, man. It's
That's
really
deep.
deep.
Yeah, it
But
is.
but it's true. That's what's going on. So
Mm.
the new cell will be born out of those of us who align with the energy of the new cell. So when that new world is born, we go with her if we're plugged in the same vibratory resonance as her. All of these people that have taken what we were just talking about and are plugging into the AI and,
Yeah,
oh,
you're right.
let's create AI art and eating all of the crap that's out there to be eaten. They are going into the dead cell, if you like, the discarded cell, and that will be completely taken over by AI. Now, there's something that I ought to mention that will further add weight to the interview that you did with, I believe it was John O'Looney.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The funeral
So,
director. Yeah.
yeah, so the clots and the things that he was finding in the physical bodies of humans, I can talk about that from an energetic perspective, because when I work on people, if I open my third eye, I can see their body energetically. So what this AI that they've been trying to get into people's bodies is doing is it's building an artificial nervous system that runs throughout the body of the human. It's nanotechnology, so minute technology that is introduced into the body, and it takes all of the dead cells, all of the viruses, all of the molds, all of the yeasts that's been actively building up in people's bodies for years anyway, because they eat utter rubbish,
Yeah.
and it builds networks all the way through the body that are artificial and connected with AI. The ultimate aim is to bypass the organic nervous system of the human and plug that artificial nervous system into the AI hub that is attempting to take over this world. For everybody that I work on that's had that, they have white AI spiders that have gathered all the way around the third eye and the pineal gland. And they will be the people that, if those spiders are left, will end up with the blood clots in the brain tumors, what we're seeing a huge increase of at the moment. I actually have someone in my own family
Mm.
that's just been operated for having one the size of an egg. And the people that are dying of myocarditis, pericarditis, that's because these same spiders will gather around the heart. They're gathering in those two spaces, these AI spiders, because they know that the third eye and the heart in the human are the portals by which you can exit this realm. They are the way that you will achieve higher consciousness. So you achieve higher consciousness through having an open and extended heart chakra,
Mm.
and also through being able to see more than what you are,
Mm.
having that ability to connect with all that is, rather than
Mm.
just, oh, I'm my own person in this reality, and isn't
Mm.
it great? So When I work on people, I have to remove the AI spiders from the third eye and the heart if they've had that.
Yeah.
I have to remove the cord that's plugging them into that AI timeline, and we have to remove the physical stuff out of the body as well. And if you do that, they will have a shot at regenerating, and the immune system will be able to take over. But the reason why John was reporting that there's so many cancers that have come out of balance and sudden deaths, and it's because everybody's immune system is busy trying to deal with the problem of this artificial nervous system that's being built.
Mm.
So any cancer that was over here that was being contained by the body, oh, we've not got time to deal with that. Have you seen this that's just arrived? We've got to deal with this.
Yeah.
So people are all of a sudden got random autoimmune conditions that have never appeared before. Cancer that was in remission is popping back up. All of these different aggressive cancers as well is because the
Mm.
immune system is overtaxed in the human.
And the cancer itself is trying to heal it. That's the thing, right? So the cancer's job is to actually accumulate all the toxins in
And
one
keep it
space.
correct and
Yeah.
keep it together in a sack. And what's the first thing that
Yeah.
the human does? Oh, let's take a biopsy. We're going to
Yeah,
cut
I
this
know.
sack open, and then you
And
just
release all
release
the
every
toxins again. Yeah, it's like a garbage bag, isn't it? You're trying. That's what the cancer does. It tries to accumulate. Well, that's tumors anyway. It tries to accumulate all the toxins. It's trying to actually heal you, but we see it the
correct.
wrong way, don't we? We see cancer as the wrong way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of that cancer starts through emotional trauma, through the thoughts that you're cycling
Mhm.
around over and over and over. So in many of my clients, if anybody tells me they've got cancer of the womb or fallopian tubes or ovaries, then that to me tells me they've got a sacral entity, they've got
Mm.
no light going into their orange chakra, but they've also probably got a negative relationship with their mother, or they've had a sexual trauma at some point where they've had something happen to them sexually that they didn't want to happen. And so you start to track those
Mm.
physical symptoms back in the body. And then you start to work out where that person's raw spot is. You help them to heal it. You remove the entity, you plug the light back in. And then when you've done all of those things in like a fusion, the human can heal because they realize, oh, that's why I got that in my body. Yeah, I was pretty bitter over that. And I did kind of cycle over it in my mind every single day for 30 years since it happened. But I've realized that's what created the cancer in that area. So I'm not going to do that anymore. And then that person gets their life back.
Mm.
So the stuff that I teach people all over the world to do what I do. And the sessions that I do with people, they are life changing. But aside from that, the information that I talk about, every single human on this planet needs to know.
Yeah.
They need to know this stuff because it's how we take our energy and our lives back. It's how we
Mm.
retune our frequency. So we're listening to the station that we want to listen to and not the stuff that they're forcing us to listen to. And when enough of us have done that, when enough of us are clean and clear, we're vibrating higher, we're ignoring what they're saying, we're not listening to it, we're not showing any of our attention to it. We're creating our own worlds. We're going back to living off the land, heart centered, communities. At
Mm.
that point, one day we will realize we've been separated. They're
Yeah.
not even part of our reality anymore.
Well, they'll go into the smart cities. We'll actually see the physical expression of that divide where they actually like queuing up to go into those smart cities. And
Yep,
I reckon we'll probably go to the land. I'm guessing back to the land, and going
yeah,
back to basics and growing our own fruit and veg and, foraging and I don't know, and
yep.
forming communities again, maybe under a different kind of paradigm of community-based service to each other. But I don't know what that looks like, yet, but still yet to come to being, isn't it?
And that sounds to me like heaven.
Yeah.
That's my idea of heaven.
I've always said like I'm happy to go off the grid, but at least let me take an iPad with me.
Oh, you can
That's
keep
fine.
your iPads. I just want to live with groups of other like-minded humans
Mm,
and watch the children running around free and happy. Um,
yeah,
allow humans to be humans because we've been interfered with as a species for so long.
so long.
And you're totally right in what you've just said. the next stage of this is those that have been infiltrated by the AI that's
Yeah.
got these artificial nervous systems, they will be drawn to these smart cities. They won't be able to resist to
It's a
the
bit
green
like that
space.
bad guy from what's it called? Rocket. What's that guy that is the the Disney Wreck-It Ralph. Hang on, let
Yeah.
me quickly. I'll edit this in. No, the bad guy. Because I always like to add
Oh
in
no!
little.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah. No,
could. Yeah,
you
the
know the
one
bit at
with
the
with
end.
yeah,
The
who
bit at the
always
end
wears.
where he gets attracted by this light and he knows it's bad for him and he's trying to resist it, but he still goes into it anyway. It's going to be a little bit like that. There's going to be no
Yeah.
free will in that moment. They'll be because they're kind of jacked into the AI, aren't they? They're influenced so much by it.
But there's another film as well that tells you a lot in terms of what you need to know in these
Oh yeah.
times.
Who's that?
And this one, again, it's another Disney film. It bombed. It
Oh,
absolutely
did
bombed
it?
at the box office for good
Yeah.
reason, because they didn't want people to watch it.
Mm.
And it's called Strange World.
Oh right.
And it's literally about, you think they're humans to start off with.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to give it away, but it literally shows you
Mm.
everything that I've just explained to you about these artificial nervous systems that are AI that are currently being created in the bodies of people.
Yeah.
And it shows you the being actually being killed by the AI.
Because are you saying then that you said the AI spiders, that's all happening in the astral, isn't it?
It's
And
happening in the energetic and the etheric.
okay, so am I when I use the term astral, is that incorrect then? Is that because I'm sort of thinking that that's that dimension that's interfering? Is that right? Or is that something slightly separate?
Well, astral's normally what you would refer to in terms of the space that you go into when you leave your body at night time,
Oh, right.
when you are sleeping. So the soul gets bored, while the biological entity, the biological form needs to sleep, to repair, to regenerate. The
Mm.
soul gets bored, so the soul goes and plays in the astral. But there are many, many levels and layers to the astral as well, which builds up through the dimensions as you speak. But when I refer to those AI spiders, I suppose you could say they're in the astral, but I just use the terminology. They're energetic. That they are attached to the energetic and the etheric body. The astral body is its own separate body.
Oh, so the etheric stretches all the way out to the 4D where there's the good and the bad, basically the polarity.
Say that again for me.
So our own human bodies, we have an etheric body, and that stretches out all the way to the fourth dimension where you've got the negative and the positive polarity, where you've got the good and the bad entities.
Our energy is
Yeah,
far more wider extending than anybody has any concept
yeah.
of in regards to just this body. People have no idea. It's like
Mm.
some people can walk into a room and you know that person's walked into a room before you even see them. And it's
Mm.
because you felt their energy come into the room.
Mm.
And that's one of the things that I teach people to do is to read energy, to read people's energy. Don't just listen to what they're saying, read their energy. You can tell a lot from a person just
Yeah.
by watching them and how they react in a situation, the things that aren't said, and the energy that's being emitted as well. Going back to that Strange World film,
Mm.
just want to mention this because I think this is very important. The reason why the being dies is because it's being attacked by its own immune system.
Oof.
And that's because the AI has formed a barrier around the heart. So the immune system begins to attack the AI that's around the heart because it's trying to protect the heart. But then
Mm.
through doing that, the heart starts to build a barrier, places fluid there, builds a barrier because it's being attacked by the immune system, which are very real live creatures on a micro level when you look at that level. I know it's hard for us to imagine because we're so big. And then eventually, it's actually the person's own immune system that kills them, not the AI, because of the attack of the immune system and the fluid that the heart places there. And that's what's causing all of the myocarditis and the pericarditis that you see now with people that have got damage due to that.
So the AI spiders are happening in the etheric, but then in the physical body, that's represented by like atrophy of let's say the heart or the
Yeah,
brain or cancers.
yeah.
Yeah, I see now. It's like yeah, it's corresponding. Yeah, in that way. Yeah.
Because if your third eye is shut down and your heart chakra is shut down,
Mm.
and you've got AI around that area as well, then the physical body will start to reflect the energetic changes. That's why it works the opposite way. So if we take these entities away and plug the light back in, the physical body then reflects the energetic changes. So it responds positively.
That's so interesting because I've actually heard that, if your heart closes, then it will actually inflate, it will expand. Like what's the term? With the myocarditis, the inflamed heart, because it's like it's actually responding to the closing of the heart. Is that right? That kind of thing.
So when the heart chakra closes
Okay.
down
Yeah.
and there's no energy going in there, the heart itself then has to work so much harder
Mm,
because
mm,
it's not got the energy. It's like a car trying to run without petrol.
yeah.
So all of these humans that are walking around that have got these entities attached that are from the negatively polarized upper fourth density that can attach because their chakras are vibrating lower and the chakras are what create the physical body. There's an interface there. These people then, they have no light going into their body whatsoever. So the body starts to become diseased. And so then they start to get cancers and,
Mm,
really, really terrible diseases occur in the body because there's no light. I would say to anybody, no matter what disease you've got, come see me, work
yeah.
with me, and we'll reverse it because I understand the reasoning behind how all of this works. All you have to do to get rid of disease in the body is to get rid of the parasitical entities that feed off of us, just as we feed off of the dimensions
Mm,
below us, and plug that light back in. Then what the cells do, you imagine being a little being on a micro level that lives inside of a world with no light. So everything's terrible.
mm,
Everything becomes diseased and awful. You imagine the day that the light returns. That would be like a miracle, wouldn't it?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so all of the little beings go, oh,
Mm,
thank God. We thought it was over. We thought that it was always going to be this way. And the light has returned. Quick, let's start repairing everything. Let's start regenerating everything. Isn't it wonderful? And so the body starts to respond to those changes and health returns in the body because the light has returned. So you're supposed to have the vibration of the rainbow running through the body to start off with, clean and clear chakras. Once you've done that, you can then, those chakras can then work as a team. And when they work together as a team, you will have white light running through the body. And in
mm,
my opinion, that is ascension. So for people that understand what ascension and new earth is, that is ascension. That is the ascension of the human. When you are clean and clear from the parasitical energies, that is basically the other timeline that you can go up if you want. But if you want to experience the light, if you want to live in a peaceful world,
mm,
if you want um, to graduate or to evolve into a world that you've always dreamed of, which is like heaven on earth, because everybody's heart centered and works together and is loving,
mm,
then this is the work that you need to do. And
yeah.
this is the work that I do with people.
And it's also funny that, the LGBT rainbow flag is like an inversion of the chakra colors, isn't it? I'm sure that's, by design.
They have to take everything and make us hate it.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you brought that up because it's true. So that will put many people off the colours of the rainbow when the colours of the rainbow are what we need. Think about Disney films again.
Yeah.
Oh, Disney's
Go on with Disney.
Disney's getting a bad rap today. But think about Disney films.
Yeah.
They always depict evil through the colour green. Always depict evil through the colour green.
Oh, yeah. That's like the heart color of the heart, isn't it?
Yes. Heart chakra, heart
Yeah.
energies.
Mm.
And that's because for them, it is evil
It
because
is to them. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah.
They
Wicked
can't,
Witch, goblins. Yeah. I'm trying to think
yeah,
of any others.
they
Yeah.
can't they can't understand green. They can't understand it because they've never had it. They close that down.
I'm sure they were telling us a lot in Wizard of Oz as well with the Emerald City, and I'm sure even in
Yeah.
Return to Oz, she had to find a green object or something.
It's all there, isn't it? And they
All
will
there,
say,
isn't it? They're telling you. They're kind of
yeah,
telling you, aren't they? They're seeping it out for you to work it out.
yeah, they'll say, well, we've told you. It's not our fault you didn't
Yeah,
work
yeah.
it out.
Yeah, we did.
And it
It
is.
was in movies, but you know, that's the game, though,
Yeah,
isn't it? They put
yeah,
the truth in movies and lies in the news. That's how they do it, isn't it?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But the color green is always depicted as evil in Disney. And that's because the negatively polarized ones, they'll have a healthy root, they'll have a healthy sacral, they'll have a very healthy solar plexus because they're evil, they're a narcissist. They'll have a healthy throat because they're used to bossing people around. And they'll probably have a really good third eye as well because they're connected into the esoteric, the occult, but they will have no green. And that's where we will always be able to
You
have
want to say
something that,
defeat, don't you?
yeah, I
Like
do, but
defeat,
I'm
you're like,
not
I can't, I'm not
gonna.
going to use that
Yeah. Oh
one.
my God, it's like
Yeah.
you're reading my mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not say
Mm.
defeat. That's
Yeah.
why we'll always have an edge because
Yeah.
we've got access to another ray of light
Yeah.
that we can use that strengthens us. And that is the green ray energy. It's very, very important.
Is it
And that
it's the most important one as well, isn't it?
I would say it's the most important one. And if it is actualized in the human, so if the heart chakra is open, then the human will begin to think with their heart and not with their head. And that's when the changeover occurs. That's when the
Mm.
human is no longer hackable. Once the heart chakra is open and you begin to think with your heart, they can't
You
hack you
know,
anymore.
Laura, you know what's funny? I've already said this in past episodes, but so I might not include it, but I actually created a philosophy called social heart history.
That's what all of us must do now. Anybody that is awakened and aware at this point in
Mm.
time needs to help other people to be able to connect at the heart
Mm.
and vibrate higher. And we've got to, it's a frequency thing as well, it's a resonance thing,
Yeah.
it's an energy thing. We've got to be able to tune ourselves so strongly, and
Mm.
this is the key, so strongly away from the song that they're playing that we can't hear it anymore.
Mm.
And
Do you
that's just
yeah.
brought happy feet into my head. Oh my
Oh no,
God, what's
how many more
happening today?
Disneys can we throw into it? You got me thinking about Disney's now as well. Um, I'm sure there's loads. I
There
was going to
is.
say, is it true? Some people say that if you get into a high enough vibration, then no one can really get at you. Like these negative forces can't get at you. Would you agree with that, or do you still think that everyone's susceptible on a daily basis to these sort of entity attachments?
If you get yourself into a high enough vibration and you keep yourself there, then you are absolutely protected and they can't come anywhere near you. That is the work. And that's what I try and educate my students on. It's what I try and educate my clients on as well. If I or if one of my practitioners
Mm.
helps you to heal, and we're not saying we're doing the healing because it's always you as an individual that heals.
Yeah.
It's just us that help you enter that space. If you work with us and we clean and clear your energy and we remove these entities, we get rid of all of the AI, we plug you back into the positively polarized earth so that you're plugged up into the positively polarized upper fourth density and ready to go. That is how we can leave you after this session where we've worked together today. But moving forwards, it's up to you to keep those energy centers clean and clear. And this is where the work truly starts because in your daily life, everything is thoughts, everything is consciousness. That's the way that you see the world, isn't it?
Mm.
And so if you choose to take something that somebody says, and if you choose to allow it to humiliate you, then that will lower the resonance in the solar plexus. If you choose something that you hear or see to make you feel sad, that's
Mm.
going to lower the resonance in the sacral and so on and so forth. So it's a different way of being that humans actually have to adopt. And that is, we have to understand that everything that goes on out there, it's not anything to do with you as a person.
Mm.
When someone says something horrible to you, it's not because it's nothing to do with you. They don't know who you really are. It's to do with how they feel inside because they feel miserable.
Mm.
They feel overworked. They feel underpaid. They feel tired. They've got no energy because they've got an artificial nervous system building up in the body that we don't know
Yeah.
about. All of these things are going on. So don't give somebody else the keys to rob your house. You and only you have got that power. And you hold that power on a daily basis and make sure that you don't let anybody else take that power away from you. Um, it's so important. That's the work. That is the work. It's on a daily basis, keeping your thoughts
Yeah.
high vibrational.
Is it not valuable to kind of go through that though and have that humiliation, have that shame? Because I find that I developed through that and I sharpened through that. And then in the past, I might have reacted to it and gone into a low place. Now, if someone tries something on me now, it's almost like war off a duck's back type of thing. But I wouldn't have got
Yeah.
to that had I not have gone through all those dark experiences. So is it not valuable to kind of go into the quagmire to then learn the lessons, like the school of hard knocks, to then come out of it? Or are you saying just get into high vibration and straight away?
No, this is a process, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to sit here and talk about the things I'm talking about if I hadn't had some
Mm.
serious,
Yeah.
horrendous things happen to me in my life. It it's the darkness that always breaks open the seed, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
that pain that breaks open the seed. But what I'm saying to humans right now is now is an era on Earth where humans have got to look back, like I'm looking back, on all of the things that have happened in our lives and not let them define
Mm.
or guide where we're going to go in the future. We've got to heal and almost thank those traumas for the gift that they were.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Great. Gratitude's a big one to lubricate the process, I've noticed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the space that you need to move into. But that's what helps you open your heart chakra as well.
And then
So,
opening the heart. I would say it's a balance between learning to open the heart once you've been hurt, because the easiest thing is to go into your shell and never open it again. When everyone gets hurt, they're a little bit more protective, but it's to still be able to open it, but still have the boundaries with people. I think
yeah,
that's the kind of the balance point, isn't it?
it
Because
is.
some people are just like, yeah, just let everyone in. The whole thing about inclusivity, just tolerance of everything. Just like
Yeah,
let the whole world come in. There's a balance between openness and reception and actually boundaries. This is what masculine feminine is about. Too
yeah,
much masculine, it's like atomized, it's blocking out, it's all boundaries. But then all feminine is no boundaries, all reception, all exception, just let it all in, inclusivity, everything, but there's no
yeah,
boundaries. So it's just, you mentioned about the paint, there's a reason why in the rainbow they're each individual autonomous color next to each other. If we put all those colors together, it creates a gray sludge. True diversity and true inclusivity still needs to have separation. It still needs to have boundaries in there. Otherwise, it's just a mush, isn't it?
I would agree that you have to have energetic and emotional
There's no
boundaries for
boundaries.
sure,
Yeah.
because there are some people in this world that don't want to heal.
Mm,
They want to stay in their place of pain.
mm.
And if you've committed to growing your own soul, and that's the path that you're on, at some point you will have to make some very, very hard decisions to let some people go because those toxic people
Yes, yes, yes.
do not want to heal. And that's their journey that they're on. And there's no judgment there from me because we've all been on that journey at some point. But at this point in time, the people that I want to help are the people that want to heal,
They want it.
vibrate higher, grow, and
Yeah.
ascend and leave into that higher frequency where we can start learning new things. Heart energy, what can be done with the heart when humans all come together and work
Mm,
together with a common goal. That's the area that I'm
yeah.
interested in moving forwards. I don't want to play the same lessons and the same things for
Go.
another 26,000
I
years.
know.
I've
But
been here long
I know.
enough.
I was going to say, let's say we're going on the understanding of we're reincarnating to kind of, let's just go with that theory that we're like reincarnating to learn lessons, and then eventually we're going to like learn the ultimate lesson and transcend. If we've been here and just kept on reincarnating, let's say hundreds of times, thousands of times, is it not slightly kind of naive of us to think this time I'll do it? Let's say you failed 10,000 times in a row. Is it not a bit naive to think this time I'll do it? I mean, what do you think's changed in this lifetime that you got it wrong in all the other lifetimes?
So we didn't get it wrong in all the other lifetimes.
Hmm.
All of the other lifetimes were individualized lessons that we had to learn. One lifetime, we had to learn what it felt like to be poor. One
Okay.
lifetime we had to learn what it felt like to be rich. One lifetime we had to
Yeah.
experience being a man, experience being a woman. One
Mm,
lifetime we had to experience what it was like
mm,
to create something, and so on and so forth. One lifetime we had to lose something dear to us and experience that
mm,
loss. They're the different shades of love. And you
mm,
have to go through that whole spectrum.
mm,
And the reason you go through that whole spectrum is to get to this era that we're in now, right now. Because at this point,
mm.
you as an individual have polarized through those experiences. Three lifetimes in, you might have decided,
Mm,
God, I hated that lifetime when I was a narcissist. It was absolutely awful. I didn't like killing somebody. I don't ever want to do that again. I'm definitely going to follow the path of the light.
mm,
And so then the rest of that arc throughout the
mm.
26,000 years is all about the lessons of the path of the light. Early on, your classic narcissist goes, absolutely love this.
All right.
Yeah, this is for me. This
Mm,
is the path I want to follow. Evil every time. Let's do it. And then they polarize fully. So in this place where we are
yeah.
now we've gone through all of those lessons, you are now either fully on the path of the light or fully on the path of the dark, and you're ready to graduate from the third dimensional
Yeah.
catalogue of lessons.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do we know that we've come to the end of the lessons, though? How do we know that? How do we know that there's not another 1,000 lessons that we don't know about that we need?
Because this is the time of the great shift.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's what I feel.
this
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this is beyond us as humans. We always look at this from a human perspective and lifetimes and this kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But don't forget there is something that's going on that's much bigger than humans right now. And that is the ebb and flow of what occurs in the universe.
Mm,
At this point in time that we are in now, it is graduation point. So what that means is, I hate using this analogy because I
mm,
hate AI, but pretend we've been playing a computer game for, 26,000 years. At this point, you either get to choose that level or that level.
mm,
All of us have made a choice. Right, we're going to stop playing this computer game now. I'm going to play that one next. Which one are you playing? Oh, I've picked that one. Brilliant. Okay. So something very, very big will
mm,
occur on the planet soon. Everything is lining up now. It's all lining up inside of our bodies. It's lining up because people are
mm,
having work done energetically inside of us, inside of who we are. Work is happening, but on a much, much bigger scale. Things are changing in the universe and the solar system, much bigger than us, much bigger than we can possibly comprehend.
mm,
This period of time that many of us have been brought into to talk about these concepts is a period of time whereby you have a choice. Do you go left or do you go right?
mm.
Make sure you're in the right lane.
Yeah. I like that. That's
And
brilliant.
it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I feel that as well. Like that's how I actually feel at the moment. That I can sense it's almost like apocalypse. And when I mean apocalypse, I mean, well, things have to end for something new to come through, don't they? There has to be a shedding of the snake skin.
Yep.
It's that kind of feeling, and I feel like we've gone through that in the last 3 or 4 years. I can feel as though we're kind of now moving into something new, but the old snake skin is maybe going to be left behind, and then that's in my metaphor, and then that's going to be the AI. It's going to be the smart cities and stuff, and people want that. In the Matrix, they said another. They said they're going to be. Morpheus said they are so inured by the system, they'll like hang on to it. They'll they'll fight for it. That kind of thing, even though they know they're being controlled. It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
It's absolutely that. And I always say to people, The Matrix is a documentary.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
a
Yeah,
it's not a film. It's a
yeah.
documentary.
A lot of them are like that, aren't they?
Yeah,
By the way, and because we just, we've gone over an hour now. Is it okay just to ask you like one more question and then we can wrap it up? Is
absolutely,
that
of
all right with
course.
you? Yeah, I'm really
Yeah,
enjoying it, by the way. Okay, I should have asked this earlier, but I've been making loads of notes
well,
as
that's
we've
good.
been, as we've been going along. Okay, because I had a conversation with a guy called Paul Levy, and he talks about how we're collectively dreaming this experience into being. And he says that the way to change this collective dream is to all work on ourselves. It's like it's actually very in alignment with what you're saying. And but as we heal ourselves as the individual elements, that affects the whole. It's that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But I was wondering whether, you talk about these entities, is it not possible that those entities are still part of our mind? It's still a projection of our mind. They're not really separate to us. I know you talk about them being this separate evil entity that attaches, but on a larger cosmic level, are they just not part of the same one cosmic mind?
If you look at it from a top-down level, absolutely, because everything is source.
Yeah.
So even
Okay.
even the entities are source.
Yeah.
So this is what I teach to my students. I
Yeah.
say, you can't hate these beings.
They're part
We
of us.
don't exactly, you don't ever want to take that energy to
Mm,
to a session. You've got to feel the utmost compassion and love for these beings because they are a part of source, just as we are a part of source.
yeah.
Apart from the rogue AI, which punched out of another universe, everything is source.
Mm,
So, uh, from a very, very top level perspective, that's why there are so many universal laws that are in place that we have to adhere to and abide by. But one of the laws that Source put in place is all parts of Source
mm,
have to be able to experience whatever they want to experience in this universe in terms of their path of progression
mm,
back to total oneness with me. So the evil ones who evil,
mm,
the dark polarized ones, it's all perception, isn't it?
mm,
Dark polarized ones have to be able to follow what they want to do.
mm,
The light polarized ones have to be able to follow what they want to do. And the two are not allowed to interfere with the other's journey.
mm,
And that's why it's gone a little bit wrong on Earth. Because what the negatively polarized upper fourth density beings were trying to do is artificially hold us back so that they keep us as a chicken farm, basically,
yeah.
but a chicken farm of light,
Yeah.
that they feed off so that we're all right. No, we're fine. Yeah, we've got this species is ours. Yeah, we'll keep these here. We're sorted. But they're not allowed to do that
Mm,
because there are laws and rules that the universe operates by. The universal law of free will has to be followed. So when somebody has been parasited upon against their will,
mm,
then that gives us permission as healers, if you like, in this realm to help that individual take those entities off, vibrate higher so that they're no longer going to be subjected to that moving forwards.
mm.
Many, many people that are unawakened in this realm uh, actually at a soul level chose this experience.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
Didn't
it's
we all choose this? Didn't we
crazy.
all choose to come into this depth to have
Yeah,
this experience? So what if we want to
yeah.
stay and have a little bit more fun for a few more lifetimes?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what, mate? If
Yeah.
that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
enjoy it.
I'm not
Be
leaving
happy.
until my football team wins the Premier League, all right? I'm not
Well,
gonna, you know,
I'll leave you with that one, but I
yeah,
think I'm I'm,
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
take the
out.
bus.
I'll take the bus out of here. Yeah. The other thing I was just gonna ask is how would you then know that you're healed? Okay, no, let me ask it this way. Um, for instance, I've got this thing where I fell in love with this girl, okay, and she left to go to Australia, and all that I have left of her is the thoughts of her, and those thoughts just like loop in my head. Is that an entity then? That's an
Sacral,
entity, is it?
sacral. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how they harvest. So they keep you sight. They know you're. And Jerry Mazinski will talk to you about this for a long time
Yeah,
because
I know. Yeah, yeah,
he's very passionate about this.
yeah.
They will dig into your mind and they will find your darkest, deepest, most rawest parts,
Yeah.
and they will bring that up, cycle it round and round and round and round and round.
Mm.
Do you know why those thoughts come into your head normally when you're trying to sleep or when you're going to bed?
What is it because they don't want you to sleep?
Yeah, because when you go to
Mm.
sleep, they're not going to get fed, for a certain amount of time because you're
Yeah.
out. We think that we're dreaming the whole time, but we're not. You're not dreaming the whole time. A lot of the time, you're not in rapid eye movement.
Mm.
So entities will go through a long period of time without being fed. So what they try and do is get a good boost A good, oh, I'll just get my final pint in
Yeah,
before he
right.
goes to sleep. Ah, I'll dig up that old, oh yeah, this one makes him really sad. Well, it's like, have
Yeah.
you seen
Go on. Line them up.
have you seen Inside Out?
Well, yeah, I mean Jerry got me onto that. Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
And they'll pick, right, let's stick that in there and
It's
off
the
we
anger,
go.
yeah. Well, actually,
Yeah.
funny, when I did a 10-day meditation, Vipassana meditation, it was like it was trying to catch me. It's like giving me a sexual thought, and I was like, nope, not having that. Gave me an angry thought. I was like, that's nearly got me. It was like it was constantly
Yeah.
going through a range of thoughts.
Yeah.
Um,
Sacral, because it's sexual as well.
yeah.
So
So
sac sacral is sadness, sexual connection to mother. So
right.
it's highlighted an area for you where it knows it can feed, so it
But
keeps those things in.
how would you stop that loop though?
They won't stop that loop
No.
until you get the entity taken off. But
Right.
for you personally,
Yeah.
what you can do is thought stopping.
Mm,
So this is a technique that I will teach the people that I work
mm,
with.
mm,
Every time that thought pops into your head, say no
mm.
quite firmly,
Yeah.
and then think of a really, really positive experience that you've had in your life.
Mm,
The most positive experience, the best thing that's ever happened to you.
yeah.
I potentially wouldn't make it about that girl though,
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah. Try and think of something else. Yeah, yeah. And then you infuse the two together, and the high vibration is almost like osmosis. It will draw like the negative and evaporate it into the high vibrational thought, right?
and it reprograms your brain because the brain
Yeah.
is used to doing negative loops, negative thoughts, because it's something to do. It's what the brain does. But
But
if you
is it
give it new
not? Yeah,
instructions, if you say, no, we're not doing that,
yeah.
we're doing this instead, and this feels better, you only have to do that 21 times until the brain
Right.
goes, no, we don't do that anymore. Don't you remember? Yeah, we don't cycle around those things anymore. We do this now. And then it creates new neural pathways,
Pathways.
and
Yeah.
then something else is born.
We're not saying that all negative emotions are entity attachments, though, are we? We're just
No,
saying that it's the ones that you chronically engage with and loop round. They're the ones that are entity attachments, right?
absolutely. All negative emotions are not entity attachments.
Yeah.
Having negative emotions is a part or has been a part of the third dimensional human. But what I would suggest to anybody that wants to evolve
Mm,
and move into that evolved human is think about every negative emotion that comes up for you and try and find the lesson in it. Try and find the gratitude in it. Try and find a space within you where you can forgive, where you can love, and you can alchemize that negativity into positivity. Because what you will then find is that you won't attract entities and you will be vibrating higher and you will be living in a different world, in a
and your world
completely
changes,
different
is what
world.
we're saying, because as you start to heal, I said earlier about Paul Levy, what he was saying, as you start to heal yourself, the your external world changes as a referent of that, as an expression of that, doesn't it?
Yep,
But
that's
we're
right.
not saying that like the physical reality changes, but it's like the way that you see the world is different, I'm guessing. It's like looking out into the garden through a muddied window or through a clear window.
Yeah,
If you have a muddied window, you're always going to see that garden as muddy. But if you have a clear glass screen, then you're going to see it as clear and pure. And that's how your world will look. It's kind of like that, isn't it? That's what we're
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
absolutely. Colors are more vivid, everything seems different. Even the nasty people or what would be perceived as nasty, you feel love for them. You can't feel anything other than
Mm,
love. Even a person can attack you in the most grievous and
mm,
heinous way, and you feel love for them because it's like when you realize that you are a part of source, that everybody is a part of source, but that you're just a part of source that realized you were a part of source before other parts of source realized.
mm.
you
Yeah.
you start to see the world in a different way, and when someone's nasty to you, part of you just thinks, oh bless them,
That's
they
what I
don't
think. Yeah,
they
that
don't
happens to me a
even
lot
know who
now.
they are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the right thing, but almost feel sorry for them that, like, rather than getting angry, I just feel a little bit like, oh, poor you.
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
because it
But
it it feels terrible. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine actually how bad it must feel living in this world right now, unawakened. So scared. People must be so scared.
fearful. And we saw the physical representation of that with the masks, I think, because that was literally telling you what's going on maybe in the astral or etheric. I'm not quite sure on those terms yet, but were literally seeing in the physical reality what people were doing metaphorically, which was to silence themselves, to submit.
Yeah.
It was like that was coming through as a metaphor and externalizing and crystallizing as a mask for loads of people. So we could actually see physically who are the people that are awake and who are the people that are, you know, bootlicking, like going along with the plan. You could see it now physically visualize like 2020 vision.
Yeah.
We actually got to see what was happening in the metaphorical world, in the energetic world, physically, through these symbols, right?
Yeah, I would agree completely. And throat chakra as well. People were
Mm.
silenced, literally
Silence. And then
silenced.
then you had don't, do you remember don't breathe? I can't breathe. No, sorry, not don't breathe. It was no, it was
I could imagine them convincing people to do that.
no, sorry. No, but it was do you remember the George Floyd stuff happened? It's like I can't breathe. And then everyone was walking around with like I can't breathe, I
I
can't
can't
breathe.
breathe.
And they had
And they
that
did
on, some
they
of them
didn't
had them on the mask.
they didn't realize, yeah. They
Yeah, and
had
then
absolutely
they
no
were
idea.
doing the blackout squares on social media. So you actually had I can't breathe, I can't speak, and they were doing the blackout squares. So it's like I can't see, so it was like that was happening metaphorically in
Yeah.
real time.
It's all symbology. It's all there,
All
isn't it? Something
symbology.
something else as well, and you
Yeah,
will appreciate this because you're in the UK.
yeah,
All of the colours that they used for all of that campaign with the NHS was all blue and
yellow.
yellow,
And Ukraine, remember?
blue and yellow. And that is always, this is power and domination from the negative side because yellow is solar
Oh,
plexus, yellow is confidence, yellow is who you are. It's the ability to stand up for yourself, it's power. It's whoever holds the yellow holds everyone
really?
because
Because they say you don't be yellow, like as in like a coward.
What's wrong, dude? You yellow? Nobody calls me yellow.
They flipped that.
well, yeah, the inversion of it. And
Yeah.
then blue is the ability to vocalize. It's the ability to stick up for yourself. It's the ability to rally others as well, isn't it? Through your voice.
Mm.
So through taking the yellow and the blue, they took all of that color and it almost feels like they were trying to take that
Icons.
color out of our spectrum, like they were trying to take it out of our rainbow. You know, when you look at
Mm.
Game of Thrones as well, and
Mm.
the Masters of Marine, their dress was all blue and yellow. They were the masters. They dominated all of the slaves. They had all of the control. So the slave masters were dressed in blue and yellow. And all of that happened around the same time. Game of Thrones,
So,
then we had so the Ukraine blue and yellow took over after the NHS
mm.
blue and yellow stuff. So those two energy centers are very, very important, blue and yellow.
So
They
they're going after here and here, right? So they're going after Game of Throats, yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, okay, so they're going after those. It's funny because I during that clown vid period, I've still got it now. I've got like a mucus or like a drip in the back of my throat. I wonder if that's connected to not being able to speak out and feeling silence. It could almost be that, couldn't it?
It absolutely could be that, yeah. And
Yeah.
many of my clients, that's some of the symptoms that they will
Really?
say that they've
Wow.
got
Yeah.
that we work on in the sessions. So
Let's talk about your sessions then. Do you want to like,
yeah,
I know we've mentioned it throughout, but do you want to really, say the protocols and like what you do and who should come to see you and the websites and everything else?
yeah, sure. So I see clients for personal sessions.
Yeah.
It's an hour of psychotherapy at the front end. So I will speak to them about their life. I'll find out all of the traumatic things that occurred and
Mm,
help them to process those and shift them. Then I hypnotize them
mm.
and I connect directly to the entities that are attached to their energetic body. I speak with them. I find out
Oh, right.
who they are,
Right.
when they attach to the person, why they attach to the person, what they're doing to the person, who they work with. So the client gets to understand the full picture behind everything that's been going on with their bodies physically, energetically, and emotionally. Then I remove the entities. And then once I've removed all of the entities, so we do that for every single chakra and for the whole body as well, so that
Mm,
there's no entities left attached. Then we rebuild the energetic body and the aura. Then after that, if you book 2 sessions with me, session number 2, I will take you through quantum travel. So you get to do past life regression. and then we bring forwards your higher self. We do another energetic check to make sure that we didn't miss anything in the first session. And we find out from your higher self why you chose to come into this crazy place at this time, what your mission is, you know, all of your questions basically that you want answering, why you chose to have entities, you know, the deeper picture. So that's my personal sessions. Then I teach students how to become a hypnotherapist and do what I do. So I teach full entity release, past life regression, the full arc of hypnotherapy, and we have accreditation for that as well for my course. And also, I have just launched a brand new course, which is for parents to be able to learn how to clear themselves and also to clear their children. So the idea behind that is that the next generation or the future generation of humans or the now generation of humans are going to be all unplugged from these parasitical beings, and we can take our world back, basically.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can feel that that's what's going, you know, that's what's happening. You know, we're gonna hopefully shed all the negativity off, all the darkness off, right? Well, it's like we're at that stage, aren't we? Like the splitting of the cell, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody is free to choose which path they want to walk down. There's no judgment there. Some people, like you said earlier, some people do genuinely want to spend more time in 3D because they like to do the 3D things, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But for those of us that are ready to move into that higher dimension that's all about heart energy, then I want to create a path through my work to help people to do that. And you know, don't forget these sessions as well. And Jerry kind of touched on that when we had the interview together, myself and Jerry. The people that are suffering from schizophrenia and psychosis and all of those types of conditions, all that is them being able to hear the entities that are attached. That's it. It's not a chemical imbalance. It's not, oh, I've just got some voices in my head. They can hear, just as I can hear when I connect to somebody's energy. They can hear the voices of the beings, the energies that are attached to them. So when you remove those energies, they don't hear the voices anymore.
Yeah, it's like the movie Nefarious, and if you've seen it, but it's exactly like that. You know, the guy was like flipping between the human hips self and the demonic entity projection.
I
Yeah.
have heard of it. I haven't watched it because
Yeah.
that's too much like a day at the office for me.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's like trying to unwind watching the same stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Not for me, thanks.
Yeah. Well, Disney. I was going to recommend a nice bit of the
Nice
Disney eye
film.
candy, but that's no good either, is it? No, it's really, really good, Laura. Really, really good stuff. And I mean, you probably even couldn't have this conversation 10 years ago because it would have been so far out there. But
Yeah.
it really goes to show how much the consciousness is rising, that you can have these conversations a lot more lucidly and openly now, and people don't react. So there's no knee-jerk negative reaction to it anymore. It's just sort of, okay, I've heard, you know, it's starting to build a crescendo. It's reaching a tipping point now. It's more and more accepted. I mean, God bless Ike for it, really, because he did it. You know, he really took a lot of bullets for coming out with that stuff.
He was the
So
first one, wasn't he?
yeah, so you know, and he's had to live a life of ridicule for it. So you know, I really put a lot of gratitude on that man's head, you know, for what he did. But I definitely feel we're at that stage where it's all now starting to come out. 2020, it's all really starting to notice a lot of things. My world's changed even in the last 3 years. Like I'm never going to have any jab, let alone I used to be sympathetic to some of them, but you know, now it's just like, no way. My whole view on the pharmaceutical industry's changed. I won't even go near medicine anymore, let alone, you know, any drugs now. Like that's the last thing I'm going to take.
And everything that they want to give you a drug for
Yeah.
can be found in nature, the natural version, and that will heal you properly because then you're in vibration with the planet of which you are a part. You know, it's everything. So when people come to train with me or study with me, I try to revolutionize and change their entire life, all areas of their life.
All areas. That's the important thing. It's holistic as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're living in a different way. And then there will be a huge group of us at a certain point that are just so vastly different. Because just think about how much we're raising our vibration, how
Mm.
much the other group are lowering their vibration. We're going to be so dissonant from each other soon that we can't actually exist in the same space together.
You won't be able
We
to
don't.
see them, I think. It's going to be a way that it's some way you just won't be able to. I don't know. They're just
Oh,
maybe. I don't know how it's going to be like that, but
have you seen
go
the
on.
Cel-
Yeah.
have you seen the Celestine prophecy?
No, I've read it. I've read the book. Yeah.
Well, if you can, try and watch the film as well, because it
Oh, right. Okay.
really visually brings it to life in that. But
Okay.
in that film,
Yeah.
they experience being aware of the lower vibration, but the lower vibration can't see them.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. That's really it, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
right there in the film.
I mean, we're starting to see it digitally online on social media where like I'll keep posting my Instagram stories and I check on my Facebook because it connects to there. Every time I go on there, I'm getting like 20 less followers each time. It's like
Yeah,
self-purging for me, you know? It's like removing them. And then I get the odd one going, really love your story. It's so brave of you. So it's galvanizing some friends and
yeah,
purging. I call it like a social media detox.
yeah.
Like I'm detoxing all
Perfect.
the people that aren't on my. I don't want that sounds arrogant, not on my level, but you know what I mean. We're not vibrating on the same frequency anymore. So they're kind
Correct.
of they're just like falling away without me having to like push them away, and that's great because it's like okay, I'm okay with that. I don't need to hang on to anyone. You know, I just
Yeah,
see it like that, and yeah. So we're
that's
seeing
it.
it on social media that kind of not being able to see each other because they're just detaching. You know, it's a little,
Yeah,
you know, but what
yeah,
that looks like in the physical form, I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll find out, won't we?
yeah. It's what a time to be alive, though.
You
What a
reckon?
time.
Do you think?
Yeah, I,
You are
I,
you positive though or not about things?
I'm positive all the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. All
I,
right.
I think that
Yeah.
the times that we are living in right now, I know it might appear
Mm.
scary, but that's only if you look out there and listen to what they're trying to tell you is scary.
Yeah.
Focus on what is real. Focus on what you are connected to right now in this now moment. Ground outside in the
Mm.
planet daily. Connect to the planet daily.
Mm.
Drink good quality water. Eat good quality foods that are
Mm.
from the earth. Remember that exchange of energy that we talked about earlier. Don't eat processed crap. Eat
Yeah.
foods that are from the earth.
But where do you
And
even get good water from? Like even things like water, like where would you even get good water from?
well, the best water is spring water or
Yeah.
well water, ideally directly from the mountain. That's
Yeah.
the dream, isn't it?
I know that's the you know because the thing is we are still stuck in a bit of a synthetic world and it's difficult to get that source food, the source
Yeah.
water and stuff like that. But yeah,
Just make the changes that you can and
make the
and
changes that you can.
do something every day that's going to make you further towards that
Yeah.
positive energy rather than the negative side of things. And I think
Mm.
the technology, I know I'm very aware that that's enabled us to have this interview today, but we've got to completely unhook from the technology every day. Go out into nature, leave your phone at home,
Mm.
reset your frequency with the planet so that you can bear working with technology for the time that you've got to, but then reset back with the planet and get yourself vibrating as high as possible.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I actually went. I actually hugged a tree last time I went out.
Yes, yes,
I've
I
become a
love
tree
it.
hugger.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah. But I tell you what I do is I try and go barefoot onto the grass as much as possible. It's just so like muddy at the moment that it's like
Yeah,
difficult in the winter. You know,
it's
like this.
hard.
I'm kind of waiting for like to dry out a little bit, then I'll start earthing. Because also I spoke to a guy and he said he's a health expert, Daniel Reuters. He says part of detoxifying the body is you have to ground yourself because it opens up the cells and allows the toxins to come out and release. If you
That's
don't
right.
do that, the toxins build up in the body. So grounding actually helps you to release a lot of that. So connecting to nature, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
It's very, very true.
Yeah.
So it has to be a part of our daily routine. And if you think back through all of the indigenous tribes and humans where we started off, we would always be barefoot. We wouldn't even
Yeah,
wear shoes.
I know.
We'd be barefoot connected to the earth.
And we don't do it anymore. And that's partly the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. So
yeah.
that's what we must do if we have the opportunity to do it. socks off, shoes off, feet grounded into the earth, and hugging trees wherever you can.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah.